Good morning. I'm Erika, the Director of Lifespan Faith Development, and today I'd like to share a story with you that touches on our February theme of widening the circle. I'll call it the Buddha of Oakland. It is a story where one small act, hopeful act, with unexpected consequences, ended up widening the circle for a whole neighborhood and beyond. The story begins with a man in Oakland, California named Dan. Dan describes himself as a grumpy cynic. He doesn't usually expect the best in people. In fact, he often expects the worst. The neighborhood Dan lived in had a lot of problems with crime. There were lots of muggings and car break-ins, and Dan was used to all that, and he tried to just mind his own business. But there was a traffic island in front of Dan's house, a big piece of concrete that jutted out into the street with a couple of trees planted on it, and people had started dumping garbage on it. They would pull up and dump stuff in the middle of the night, and Dan would wake up to piles of garbage, furniture, and garbage bags, sometimes 8, 10, or 12 feet high, towering over the street. Dan said that once somebody had dumped some garbage there, it would act like a magnet, pulling everybody else to dump their garbage there too. Signs that said no dumping made no difference. And Dan was getting frustrated. He didn't know what to do. But then he had a strange idea. Dan went to the hardware store and bought a cement Buddha from the gardening section. He wasn't a Buddhist. He didn't feel any particular connection to the Buddha. But still, he bought it, he brought it back and attached it to the concrete of the traffic island with rebar and epoxy. For many months, the Buddha just sat there, and the dumping did slow down a little. Then one morning, Dan looked out his window, and somebody had painted the Buddha white. And another day he looked out, and there was an orange there, and then it was gone, and then another day a pear, and then once a whole pile of pears. Someone was leaving offerings for his statue. After about a year, the offerings grew to include flowers and homemade treats, candles, coins, and the area was always kept neat and clean. Dan had not expected this. When he put the statue there, he thought most likely someone will steal it or vandalize it. But he hoped that maybe they would be less likely to throw trash on it or next to it. He said he thought maybe it would change the energy of the place. His was an act of hope, but this was beyond anything that he had thought to hope for. The offerings continued, and the neighbors built a shrine around the Buddha statue. More statues joined the original, and people came to pray every morning at 7. At first, just a few, and then eventually more, up to 70 a day. A woman named Vina Vo, who had fled Vietnam 30 years earlier, took the lead in caring for the Buddha statue and the shrine that grew around it. She remembered that in her homeland, there had always been village shrines, informal places to pray and give offerings. And now Dan's statue had given her the opportunity to have a village shrine right there in Oakland, and a place for her community to gather. Sometimes there were feasts, and people would knock on Dan's door, offering him good foods, piles of fruit, good things to drink. Usually, he said, they didn't speak English and he didn't speak Vietnamese, so they would bow to him, he would bow to them, and he would try to tell them, it's your Buddha now, you don't need to bring me anything. But the gifts kept coming. Tourists came to see the miraculous Buddha too. The shrine was vandalized a few times over the years, but each time the neighbors just built it back, bigger and better. Eventually, the original Buddha statue was given a fresh coat of paint with black hair and golden clothes. A reporter checked the crime statistics for Dan's immediate neighborhood, and in the 2 years after people started to gather daily at the shrine, crime went down by 82%. Is that all because of the statue? No one can say for sure. But Dan knows that a small thing can grow into something much bigger, that a small, desperate act of hope can act like a magnet that attracts community, that widening our circles can change the way we feel about our neighborhoods and the world beyond.
As we let these words settle into us, let us deepen together into a time of meditation.